All right, guys. So welcome back. So we're on part 2 of the gooseberries. You should have finished your part 1 of the gooseberries. We started. I thought I had pushed the flower out of focus there at the end. I was kind of chuckling, a little frustrated. But when I went back and reviewed it, I saw that I actually colored the flower with you in focus, and then I kind of got out of focus. So that was really good. So we don't have to redo that little part. It just wouldn't be me if I didn't mess something up when I was doing a video. Anyway, I meant to do this earlier, but as you see, I had a little boo-boo. I always seem to cut my thumb. I don't know what's going on with me. I got really mad at my kitchen drawers. I was looking for a potato peeler, stuck my hand in there. You know, when you're searching for something in your kitchen drawers, no matter how many times you organize them, they get messy. Well, I found the potato peeler. Obviously, I found it. That hurt really bad. And then I was on Amazon within 5 minutes of my bandage. And I ordered some drawer trays. So this will never happen again. And I was really happy to find them because now everything in my drawers is nice and tidy and neat. And shockingly, everything fit really snug and perfect. I'm really happy. It's probably the first time in forever I've been happy about a drawer organizer. Anyways, it's not like those silverware ones that you put your silverware in, you open your drawer and it slides to the back of the drawer. These are great. Okay. You don't even know about that. Nobody cares. Okay. So back to what we were talking about. The gooseberries. We're going to start on the leaves. Haha. If you want to know more about those little organizers, I'll tell you later. They're really cool. Okay. The colors that I picked are 1012, 1034, 911, 915, white, and 1099. And for the stems, I chose 911, 912, 1089, 950, which is your gold, and 1099. The stems will do last. So again, let's go over the leaf colors. 1012, 1034, 911, 915, white, and 1099. I know those seem like weird colors, but trust me, like always, I throw some weird colors at you. It's gonna work. Okay, let me move this paper off to the side. Oh, hold on. Let me zoom in case you guys want a screenshot of that color list. I'll pull it down for you. Because I know I've had a few comments where people say they have a hard time seeing, but I want you guys to go and watch that video if you're struggling to see on your phones. I did post a little video on how to zoom in and out while you're watching YouTube videos. So please go watch that. It'll help you so you can see better. It's not my video, but it's somebody else who made the video. I just shared it. So anyways, there is the list of colors. If you want to just take a snapshot with your phone, you can refer back to that. Okay. Let me move this out of the way now. But anyway, I did try to adjust a little bit closer for you guys to see what I'm doing a little bit better. So you don't always have to zoom in super, super close. But as you can see, it's really hard for me to see what I'm doing all the time on the camera when I'm doing it. So sometimes I get out of camera view. That's the downside of me zooming in. It's a struggle because I don't have professional cameras like some of these fancy YouTubers. So please don't hate me if I get out of focus once in a while, because I do try my best to appease everybody, but sometimes it's really hard. Okay, we're going to start with this leaf since it's in my best camera view. And we are going to start with color 1012. And again, what I like to do is with a light pressure, as always, I want you to fill in your whole entire leaf with a really light pressure. So put a base coat down of this 1012. You're just going to change the color from white to this jasmine color. Not a heavy coat at all. Do not press down. I mean, feather touch your pencil, baby hands. Learn your light touch. If you think you're doing a light touch, you're probably going too heavy. And I'm not kidding when I say light touch, baby hands. You're just barely changing the color. And you're not trying to saturate it either. You're just putting a little bit of color on the paper. What you're doing is you're putting a base color down. And believe it or not, this base color is important. I know it seems really silly, but it is really important to the color of this leaf. We are not necessarily going to have a green leaf. It is going to be a very different shade of like a golden khaki green. I'm doing a play in between a green and a yellowish golden color, simply because these berries are so much green and yellow in them. I didn't want to do more green on green, although you can if you want. I highly suggest you go really bright green or really dark. Okay, so now that you've got your first light layer, and that should be like an extremely light layer. And I know I talk about pressures, but you should really learn that light touch technique because it's really important. And a lot of people say, oh, I do really light touch. When you think you're using light pressure, you're probably not. And that's something I had to learn too. When I thought I was doing light pressure, you'd be surprised how much light pressure is really light pressure. Okay, your next color is 1034. Now, I want you to pay attention, especially on this picture, on the summer berries. Inside this leaf are these dotted lines, these vein lines. I'm going to keep true to her lines just because I think it's a good pattern to follow. And this is going to, one, teach you patience. And it's also going to teach you just something a little bit different on how to follow this. So I'm not going to do anything to that vein line yet because I'm going to use this light color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work from the inside out. Is I'm just going to really lightly work that center line just a little bit. And then I'm going to bring my color out. I'm not going all the way out, if you can see that here. I'm going to go about 3/4 of the way out with that color. So I'm a little bit darker towards the center, so towards the midline of that vein. It's a little bit heavier on color. And then a less of a color as I go out towards the edge of the leaf. See how I've done that? And I'm going to do each individual section like that. And it is time consuming, so be patient and work the pattern of the leaf. Don't get in a hurry and rush it. I mean, by all means, do what you want to do, but if you're following along with what I'm doing, don't rush it because you'll end up with a really muddy look and your color will not turn out and you'll be so angry. You'll put in all that work on your berries and then this leaf will look like a hot mess. And these colors will work together, I promise. And you see what I'm doing here? I'm just kind of going back over it because I want it just a smidge it darker on that bottom part. Okay. And I'm just going right back over each little section. Hopefully you can still see. And again, I'm not going all the way to the outer edge with this golden color. I'm just keeping it really light. even though it's darker on the midline there, or I guess a heavier layer, I'm not putting a lot of pressure. I'm just building up a light layer. And right here at the very top, I'm just going to do that low point. I'm going to leave the upper portions with that pale color. Now, I'm going to do the same thing on this side, exactly how I did the side I just did. I'm going to repeat it, working from the inside out. Hopefully, this works out and shows up as good on camera as it does in person, because I want you to have, another way to do a leaf that's not always green. And I know it's really hard sometimes to choose a color palette for leaves that looks summer-like or spring-like that's not green. But you can do like blues and pale sages. But this leaf reminded me of, when I was looking through the gooseberry plants, the images, some of them did have really deep green leaves. And then other ones, as the berries were aging and getting ripe, the leaves had some of this golden color to them. And I thought, that's the way I'm going to go. And this is going to play really good with the background colors I chose. Hopefully. But anyway, it is a great, you can use these colors as a fall color too, for leaves. But in the end, this leaf will be a little bit vibrant, a little bit green, but have a touch of a golden color to it. Okay, now we've got these little sections here. So again, I'm just going to work from the center. I'm going to kind of pull that color in just a little bit right here at those tips, right in the corners, okay? That's where my angles get funny because I'm right-handed, so, okay. Again, this is where a nice sharp tip comes in handy, but you're going to want to use baby hands with a light pressure. And we will be repeating these colors, so don't be putting your colors away. Keep them off to the side. And we're going to do this right here at the bottom. And I'm going to get over here to this side. I'm going to rotate my picture a little bit so I can get this edge. And then we'll do this one. And now you see what I mean by, I say it's tedious and time consuming the way you do each individual little section on here. And again, you don't have to do it this way, but the color outcome is pretty cool. And again, you can use different colors. You can do whatever you choose. You can choose a different palette. You can use greens, use reds. You can do whatever you like. This is just something I came up with as I was playing with my colors. Okay, so now my next color that I'm going to grab here is 911, which is your olive green. Oops, can you see that? Okay. And again, with my olive green, keeping baby hands still. Now, where we see that vein line, you're going to very lightly trace it with that olive green. Try to stay on your line, though. Just follow it. What you're doing is you're going to make that line eventually stand out. As you're coloring, as you're filling in all these colors, that line should really pop off. And it will, because you got more colors to put in. And you're going to use this color too. But I want you to put this in right now very lightly, very gently. And the reason I'm having you do it now is because as you lay color in, you can easily lose track of where those little veins are. So if you're not really focused, like me when I talk, I can lose track of where they are, and then I'd be staring at the page for a half an hour, going, uh-oh. Okay. So you see, all I did was just go over what the line artist already put in there. That's it. I didn't do anything fancy to it. Okay, now I'm going to come in here with my pencil and very gently and very lightly, starting with the line where the vein is, right at that sharp point, I'm lightly mixing that color. I'm going to bring it out so heavier towards the base. And I'm blending that green and that golden color a little bit. But my touch is ever so soft. As I bring that color maybe just less than 3/4. Okay. And I'm going to do this for each section. Notice I'm running my pencil right over that vein line just to keep in check with it. And now they don't have to be perfect. You're just putting a little bit of that green color in there. Because when you add all your layers and your blends, it'll all come together. But I am keeping my lines there. Those are important. And just a tiny bit in these upper little corners here. Okay. Now I'm going to do the other side the same way. I'm just putting that little bit of green in there for right now. Doing each section, repeat. And I know, doesn't it seem funny that you're putting dark over light, but trust the process. You wouldn't think these colors work good together, but they do. It's like when you add blue over red. You're like, why would you do that? Well, it's a method to the madness. It's part of understanding color theory and why everything works so beautifully together. Because you can't have one without the other. Okay. Again, I'm right there at that end point, and I'm making it just a little bit darker at the base. And I'm going to go over that vein line because I don't want to lose it. Don't make that vein line too dark because we have a final color to put in there. Just going to bring a little bit of that green up. Okay, now I'm going to come over here and do these little bits. Just a little bit there. I'm doing each corner, bringing that color up. It reminds me of like a quilt pattern right now. You know, if you've ever done any sewing, you do quilt squares. You sew each little quilt square first. And then you piece them all together like patchwork. Then you always end up sewing some of them. Then you find that one that you've sewn all funny. Never failed. I always had that one quilt square that I sewed really weird, and I'm not sure if it's just I got in a hurry or I wasn't paying attention. I'd look at it and think, well, how did I do that? Did I cut it weird? What was I thinking? Okay. So there we have that. Now, take your 915. That is your lemon yellow. And starting at the bottom here, can you still see me? Starting at the bottom, don't go all the way down here where the darkest of the green is. What I want you to do is just right where that green starts to come up to that light, very gently pull that green and start to blend very lightly and pull it up into your white. You want to leave that little bit of dark at the base there and repeat it for each little section. You're not so much blending too much of that green in yet, but you want to mix that yellow a little bit with your green. Just enough. You don't want to make it too yellow, but you also don't want to leave too much of that green. So this little square right here is pretty big, so you should be able to see this pretty well. You get some color going in here. And don't worry about getting your yellow all the way to the edge yet. And again, I'm still using a light touch. See how I've done that? It still looks a little funky, and that's the way it should look because you're still seeing the grain of the paper. You're seeing the green, you're seeing the yellow, you're seeing the grain of the paper, you're seeing the white of the paper, you're seeing a little bit of that orange. At this point, that's what you want, because you shouldn't be at the burnishing stage yet. So you should be seeing all this in your picture right now. And it's okay to still see white. You should still see white on your paper. If you're not seeing too much white, you're probably pressing too hard. Because when I say light touch, I mean light touch. And again, it just takes practice. And the best way to practice your technique is to do color combos. I like doing those. It's relaxing. It doesn't take much thinking. Just swatch out a whole bunch of color combos. Okay, now I want you to go back and grab your jasmine. So with your jasmine, I want you to do a few of your inner colors. Start at the very bottom where that green is. I want you to blend your green, adding more of that jasmine in, and bring your jasmine all the way up over that yellow. Fill in any of the little white edges. So anywhere you see your white paper, I want you to fill in that jasmine. You should see it kind of looking a little golden, like a peachy, creamy color. Don't do all your squares. Leave your outer edges here. Don't do those. Okay. See how I'm just doing a light layer here? I'm going to do some here. It's almost got like a golden khaki. And then I'm going to do this one. Okay. Now I'm going to grab my 1034 again. And I'm going to come down here. And I'm blending my green and adding that 1034. And again, I'm staying away from the very tip. I'm leaving that very tip of that section of leaf but I am grabbing that green at the very end where I put the darkest of the green in there, the 911. I am grabbing it, pulling it up into that yellow. And again, right here with those little bits. And I'm not doing everyone, I'm just doing the areas I didn't just hit. Okay, I'm going to do over here, these side bits. See how I did that? Again with this side bit. Mixing that green and yellow. Bringing it up, but I'm leaving that tip white. And I'm going to get in these little bits here. That's why sharp tips are really nice. Okay, I'm going to do this tips right up here in the very top of that leaf. And working with Prismacolors with sharp tips definitely takes baby hands, because you will break some tips if you push too hard. Okay, how utterly cool is that? Now, here's where it gets one of two ways. You can either, the next two steps, you can either turn your leaf into an utter hot mess, or you can make it look really cool. This is completely up to you. So take your 911 and you are going to trace your vein line once again. Just lightly, just trace it because I want you to pull it out. Your center line. Okay? Now, I want you to add some of that green right at the base in each little square along the center. Ignore your outer leaf edges. Just do your center bit here. And now you should start to feel your wax is a little heavier from the multiple layers you laid in. That's good. But you see what I'm doing here? I'm not doing a really heavy, but I am putting a little bit of more green right at the base here. Okay, and I'm going to do a couple up top. Not a lot though, because I still can see that gold and I want to still see that gold color. Just kind of hitting those inner corners. Good enough for me. Now I'm going to take my jasmine. I know it's like a repeat, and I'm going to work that green right at the edge. That's it, just at the edge of the green. Right here. So right here at the edge. That's all I'm doing. I'm just blending it to make sure I don't have any sharp lines. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to take my 915. Here's where it gets fun. 915. I'm going to go from almost all, not all the way into the dark green, but I want to say 75%. I'm doing small circles, and I am blending those colors. And I'm going to bring it all the way up into the white. And this should blend your colors. And as you come up into the lightest area of your paper, it should really start to pop. It should look like a golden khaki green. But it should have those really bright pops of golden yellow. And don't worry, we're not done yet. But you should really feel your wax thickening and more easy to manipulate that color around your paper. Because you've built up enough layers now that you should really feel it as you're working your pencil. And that's what's so great about Prismas. As you're using them, that color should move around really easy, almost like an oil pastel. Unlike some of your other pencils, you can't really do that with them. it's really, it takes a lot. I don't want to say it's really hard, but it takes a very different technique to work with a harder pencil. Now notice I'm doing this with each and every petal within that, I guess I call it a petal, well, every little section within that leaf. I'm hitting those little tiny bits, and I'm going to come over here and do this side. And you can see my edges of my leaf look a little more golden than the inner section. That's exactly what I wanted. Now, some of my leaves, I may put a little more green in certain areas, depending on where the light's hitting it. It's kind of up to you. Okay, now, with your 1099, which is the espresso color, sharp point is always best. Go over that vein. Be very gently. You don't want to make a wide line. You just want a gentle line. Now you see why I wanted you to keep that green there, so you can follow it. Your pencil should slide right over those vein lines. And when you're doing this, you should be able to cover up most of those little dots that were there. So now you should see this nice, sharp contrast with that espresso against that golden, kind of khaki green color, I suppose, with that bright yellow. I thought it just looked really cool with those berries. What do you think? Do you like my leaf? You like that? Is that cool? Does that look cool? I thought it looked cool. I don't know, maybe I have bad taste. I'm not sure. But if it's too yellowy or too pale or whatever, you can always go in and put a little more of your golden color in there, like just like this, because we didn't really burnish this, so there's still just enough left. If you want to pop some more of your 1034 on there, just like I'm doing right now, you certainly can. Or pop some more of your green on there. You don't have to keep every petal this or every little section the same, so remember that. It can be different depending on how the sun's hitting the leaf. It's up to you. Now, oops, I got a little line right there. I didn't even see it till I turned my head. I'll have to fix that later. Okay, now I know I said white. So what the white pencil's for is, if you look at it, because my picture's upside down, so if I were to flip this around and I think, okay, where's my light hitting the most? I would suggest that it's going to hit on this side the most. So because the leaf is covering right here, it's covering this berry, I would think I'm going to have some light right here. So I could always put little bright spots right here at the tips of these leaves. See how I did that? I just kind of added a little tiny bit of white right there, and it just brightened up those tips just a little bit. I didn't go too dramatic. I just put a little bit, and it will show up. And I know when you're staring at a page, you don't really notice those subtle bits of white. But walk away for a few seconds and come back and look at it again, and you will see it. So anyways, there's one leaf. So I know that took a little bit, so I'm going to show you something on the stem here. So let's grab 1089 really quickly. Let me move these off to the side. My little color stash built up here. Because we're going to use gold, which is a fun color. So I'm going to put a light coat of 1089 on the whole. Now, when I'm saying light coat here, I'm not going too baby soft. I'm just filling it in. I'm not being perfect. I'm just kind of scribbling in a good coat. I'm going to go up here, up my leaf, and over my little flower. There's that little bit in there that's probably going to get lost, but that's okay. Did I get them all? I think I did. Okay, so now I'm going to take 912 and I'm going to go along the edge of this. Sorry, I know it's hard to see, but I'm just kind of putting a nice line around the line that's already there of 912. Don't worry, we're going to darken it up. So paying close attention to the bottom here. I didn't overcomplicate the stems because I put a lot of effort into the leaf. So I figured you guys might appreciate that. I made you do so many layers on that leaf. I figure you're probably like, oh my gosh, get to the end already. Okay, so now I'm going to grab 911, which is one of the colors we used in the leaf, stick him with the same color palette. I'm going to take that darker green and I'm going to come up at the top here because we put a little bit of that apple green up here. So going over that with that darker green, paying attention to go around that gooseberry with your darker green. Now I'm coming down the inner edge of that gooseberry. So this darker green over that lighter green with that, with 1089 under it, it's going to give it a more brighter appearance. But again, I'm still using kind of a lighter touch there. I'm not getting all crazy because I'm going to put some gold in here. And that gold's going to look very neat. And this is where everyone says, how come I never use my gold for anything? Well, surprise, surprise. We are going to use it. And then I'm going to use this here. And this little bit up here. Right? And then right in there's that little stem, and go ahead and fill it in. I'm going to put a little bit of that dark green here, where I had some of that apple at the bottom. And then I'm going to go around the little bud here. I got my these little leaves right here. Okay. I think that's good for now. Yeah. Notice I'm just kind of filling it in a little. Okay, I'm going to take my gold, my 950. And I'm going over that 911 up top there. You see how dark that's getting? Because that's a really shaded in area there. Now I'm going to come down to the bottom and do the same thing. Right where that base is. It kind of looks like all those stems are coming together there. I'm going to kind of drag that gold up a little bit. And then off to the side here. And just a little bit right here. And there's those little dashes in there, so bring it down around that gooseberry. Okay, I'm grabbing my 1089. See how it's blending that gold with the greens? Gives it a very different look here. Just something different. Okay. Don't worry, we're not done yet. Okay. Now I'm going to grab my apple green again. Don't worry, your gold is still there and it still shows through. But you're getting like the best of all of it. You're getting your apple green, you're getting that touch of gold under there. It's a very earthy color. So it gives it almost that natural, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say bark, because it doesn't really look like bark. Like a weather-aged vine, I guess. I don't even know if that's the right term. But it gives it just enough of that woody feel with that little bit of gold. Just enough of that contrast in there. And I played with different browns. It just wasn't the right brown I wanted. Okay, now your final color, your 911. I'm just going over the inner edge because I don't want that 911 to mix with my background color. So we'll do some final details after we do the background. So I know it kind of looks a little unfinished, but keep in mind, I'm going to save those super dark details for the end. I think that'll be best. You can put those little dashes in there. Okay, so just very fun, very simple, a very easy way to add some earthy tones without using dark browns and super bright greens. You can still apply those little bits of gold and give it just enough contrast. Kind of neat. I think it's a cool little trick, but so many people overlook their gold and silver and they want to use it to create metallic effects, which you definitely can, but it can be used for so much more. So anyways, I want you to do some more of your leaves, and I'll start you out with one more leaf. How about that? Because I know these leaves take forever. And again, I don't see any sense in doing every single leaf with you. And I know some of my color alongs, I've done a step-by-step. But these are all the same colors and basically the same leaf over and over. So I think you guys can handle that. So let's do this one. And again, let's start with your jasmine, your 1012. And put that base coat in. Remember, baby touch. You see how light I'm going? I'm just changing that white to that beautiful golden sand color. And I'm not even making it perfect. I'm just kind of laying it in. And remember, just slowly build up your layers. I've said it like a million times. It's easier to put color in at a light touch than it is to take it away if you have a heavy touch. So lighter is better. Because you can easily add more color. It's super hard to fix it once you've put it down. And some colored pencils are worse than others. Oh my gosh, I don't know how many of you saw that picture of Gretel up on the dang kitchen counter. I could not believe her. I could have just beat her for that. I walked into the kitchen and I couldn't believe she was up on the counter like that. I'm still in shock over it. I was like, girl, what are you doing? There's only dishes up there. She had her fat, furry little butt up on my kitchen counter, 1034, sniffing my kitchen cupboard. Like there was some kind of food or treat or something up there, and there's nothing in there but dishes. I couldn't believe her. I was like, what are you doing? Get your hairy little biscuit off my kitchen counter. She's something else. And then last night, she had me laughing. I don't know how many of y'all have a Siamese cat, but they're different. She grabbed a string from one of my hoodies, and she carries it around with her in her mouth like she's got some kind of prize. I kept keeping it away from her because I didn't want her to have it. It belonged in my sweatshirt. And then finally I gave up and let her have it because she just wouldn't stop. But it was in one of my older hoodies that needed to go in the Goodwill pile anyway. It was looking pretty ratty. It was one of my favorite ones, and I had a hard time letting it go. Why do we do that? We keep clothes until we've absolutely just destroyed the use for them. Probably because they're comfy. Anyway, so I gave it to her. She snatched that thing up so quick. She threw her head back and was running around the house with that string from my sweatshirt. Like she had accomplished a feat like no other. It was like the prize of a lifetime to her. She had me in tears. My ribs hurt from laughing. I just couldn't believe she is so funny. I was like, good grief. Never seen a cat act like that over something so silly. It's hysterical. I've seen dogs do stuff like that, but never cats. Maybe she's part dog. Who knows? She's definitely bizarre. It's like I've never been so invested in a cat in my life. Every day she makes me laugh. It's like she's got street smarts or something, this one. I don't know. She's definitely special. And she does this thing where it's not a meow. It's like a bird call. She chirps or chortles at me. It is so funny. And then she'll drive by me and she'll slap me. She does the 1-2 slap, slap, and then takes off. I'm like, what are you doing? And she's just playing. But it's so funny, though. I'm like, I think my cat is half nuts. I'm like, wow, this kid's got issues. But I think I might have mentioned it before. My aunt has her brother. And we compare them to each other all the time. And he acts just like her, she said. Okay, so you can see I'm doing the same thing with 1034 as I did before. I'm just working the corners. Now I'm doing a little more of the 1034 on this leaf than I did up here. I'm giving this one a little more of a golden color. I don't want so much green on this one. I want more of a golden yellow tone. So when you're doing that, adjust the depth of your yellows and your golds and lighten up on your dark tones. So by me putting a little bit heavier of the golden color in here, And when I put my green in, I'm going to use a little bit lighter on the green. It's going to give me a little bit of a brighter touch, a little bit of a brighter yellow, more of a golden color. So I could put a little more of the jasmine in. Okay, this should be fun. All right, you guys, I got you started on the next one. I want you to finish your leaves. Let me zoom out. Okay. I want you to finish. Can you see the whole thing? Do I need to zoom out some more? Maybe. Okay. I want you to finish your leaves. So you should have finished your berries, the two little flowers here. Now you notice I didn't do the details on the flowers. Those we're going to do in the end after we do the background, because I chose a bright color for the background and we don't want to add the dark details until after that bright background is done, because it'll make a mess out of our background. I mean, if you want to do a dark background, by all means, do whatever you want. But I'm using a light background, so I'm going to wait till the end to do my details. So I want you to finish your leaves. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's quite a few. Take your time. I'll wait. I'll finish mine, and then it'll probably take me a day or two. I may get these done tomorrow because it's pretty late here now. And then I'll get the part 3 posted or started tomorrow night. So you guys have time to work your leaves, because I'm slow. Clearly I'm slow. And it is actually, what is it? Wednesday night for me. So it would be actually Thursday morning. It's 1 a.m. Thursday morning. So you guys know what day and what time it is here. So if that gives you an idea. Anyways, work your bookmark if you've started this one by Ellie Marks. And I will come back and we will finish it together. It'll give you a little bit of time to work with that gold pencil. And you can see what those gold and silver metallic pencils can do besides just being gold and silver metallic. Okay, you guys, thanks for joining. Thanks for following along. And I look forward to doing part 3 with you. Catch you soon.